Hello everybody, Shane here, and today I want to give my up-to-date opinions on Adventure Quest. I have actually been playing this game for a while now. This is my second account. I was just kind of seeing how the community would treat newer players and just wanted to put off that persona. And ultimately, I think the community did really well. They're very welcoming, and I definitely appreciated it. Lagalore, I think caught, he almost caught me because he recognized my name. I'm like, and as going through the game again, I'm there's so many issues that is glaring to me, and for new players, I hope they're having fun. And when the fun stops, just find something else, give the game a break, maybe come back. But don't push yourself to play this game because the developers has had years and years to get this game right. And sometimes they do a good job, and then some other times they fall flat on their face. And yeah, I just kind of want to talk over some glaring issues as a older player, as someone who's coming back or trying to come back. But yeah. So I'm not really. I have a little list right now. I'm not really good at making scripts. But the first thing I want to talk about is combat. Combat is not very fun in this game. At first, it's fine. But after you've been doing it for such a long time, even the classes that you typically enjoy, I eventually they get boring real quickly because there's not a huge wealth of different content in the game. It's when it comes to overall combat. Every class has a basic auto attack that does pretty much the same thing, just some are ranged and some are melee. And then you have 3 abilities, an ultimate, and then a cross skill. So if you want to count all of these together, I'm not counting the auto attack because it's not a skill. Was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? You got 5 abilities, and yeah, that's not that much. That's definitely not that much. And at first, like I said, it's fine, right? At first, it's fine, but eventually, it does like wow, literally you're kind of hitting abilities off of cooldown. When you're in mid fight, you need something else besides an auto attack. Anything, whatever your kit can do, you need it, and you're going to hit the hit off of cooldown. So, like for example, playing a Moglomancer, I want to focus on giving everyone crit, but if I can't give anyone crit, then I'm going to be healing someone. So then I hit a 3. Well, eventually I'm going to run out of mana, so then I got to hit 4. You know, if I'm okay on mana and my 2 comes back, then I'm gonna focus on giving crit. Now my 2 and 3 ability are the things I'm focusing on the most. I just hit 4 if 1 I need to silence someone, or 2 I need mana. So yeah, there needs to be more abilities, like a lot more, and make it to where we can switch out different abilities. You know, like give us the ability to have all of these slots filled with abilities. I'm talking. What was that? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then my R ability, it's the cross skill. But then I have Z, X, C, and V. Those have abilities as well. You know, and then make another hotbar slot for your potions. You know, for your travel forms. Put it in the corner somewhere. And then, like I said, as we're leveling up, we have 100 levels for each class. You know, as we're leveling up, make 1 to 50 pretty quick, right? And in that process, give us a ton of abilities that we can choose from. We could swap out, you know, and then make 50 to 100 the gear, right? And then make that the slow grind. Don't put abilities behind a super ferocious grind. Don't do that. right, next comes to the questing. And I'm also going to add difficulty to this as well. For the most part, this game's not difficult, and dying doesn't really have any consequences. Like I see, I just died. Yeah, oh, I'm back now. Oh well. No, dying doesn't really have any actual consequence other than maybe if the whole team wipes, then of course the boss resets. That's pretty much it. When you're doing solo quests and like things like that, dying doesn't really matter. Which is disappointing. And then the questing. The questing consists of two. Actually, I'm going to stretch it to 3. I'm going to do them a favor. I'm going to stretch it to. It's either click on the sparkles, kill X amount of creatures, or kill creatures to get X amount of items, which usually ends up being more than if they just said kill 20. Stretching it there, but that is the quests, right? Now that's the quest we've been seeing since the early days of MMOs. When they first came out, that was fine. But questing has evolved a lot in a lot of MMOs. Sure, they still follow the same formulas, but they do it in creative ways. And if it is just kill this or kill that, typically the combat is pretty engaging. Arcade had really, really boring questing in my opinion, but I really liked the combat. Terra, horrible questing system. The combat was great. And you know, that led to the last topic of just hitting the same 5 abilities off of cooldown. It isn't very engaging. And then the quests being shallow also make the experience not very engaging. The writing is great. Don't get me wrong. I loved this game's writing. It's funny, it's quirky, it's different, right? It's not super serious. So, oh, you're the. I mean, yeah, the story is that we're trying to save the world. Like, actually, at the end of the day, we're just trying to get Death's key back for his house. But you don't really touch on that too. You mostly go around and do side quests, but these side quests usually revolve around you saving a lot of people, typically. You know, a lot of these storylines is like, oh, if this person gets it, they can take over the world. Oh, well, I guess I'm saving the world now, you know. But yeah, it's just, it's a shame. The questing is super, super, super generic, and I want to see more. When it comes to dungeon, when it comes to fights, I want to see more than just this. One person wailing, and then the boss has some AoEs to dodge, and that's it. I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. But so far, the only fight that I saw that I actually really enjoyed and was thoroughly impressed was the West Mirrors dungeon. Because they had you jumping over stuff. That was pretty much the only thing they added, but at this point, I've been doing the same thing over and over and over again. Them adding one thing was kind of a big deal. I was excited to jump over those lasers, man. I'm like, this is something new. Jump, jump, jump. I love the dungeon, personally. It did a lot of the same stuff, but it added a little bit of spice, a little bit of salt and pepper. Just a little bit. And that's all you need. All you need. You don't need paprika. You don't need cumin, right? You don't need oregano. All that stuff's great, and I would love to see that those spices be put in. But if you could just put a little salt and pepper once in a while, that will go a long way. Me jumping over those lasers made that my favorite dungeon. That's it. That was just a little bit of salt. It's great. Fantastic. Running away from the bombs as they were exploding was cool. There's maybe a little bit of pepper there. It wasn't anything crazy. But it was different. It wasn't the same thing over and over and over again. Go in a dungeon, clear 3 rooms, kill the boss. Done. This one was different, and there was a story behind it. Oh, it was so cool. When I got to Ashfall, I thought that one, even though that one was really, really simple, it was super long, but I liked it. It was a little bit different. Going on that lava ride as you were fighting off enemies, it was very, very basic, but it was different. It was salt and pepper. It was cool. That was my favorite for a long time until I hit up Westmere. And that easily leads to my next topic is this game just doesn't have a whole lot of depth when talking about the lack of abilities, the content being really really shallow. And people can argue that, oh, this is a mobile MMO. I've seen there's so many MMOs out there on that have complexity, that have depth. They have RuneScape on the phone, both of them. They have Albion Online. There are quality MMOs on the phone. So the fact of saying that, oh, this is an MMO, we can't have it super complex, is just a scapegoat. That's all it is. Not to die here. I think we're good. But yeah, overall, this game has lack of depth. The quests are shallow. Dungeons are typically pretty shallow. Even the boss fight, when fighting the boss fight on extreme, the only thing that makes it difficult is the fact that he has a ton of HP and he can one-shot you. That's it. That is the difficulty. And once you understand his moves and you understand when his head goes a certain direction, you understand where it's gonna go. Then it's just a slow HP grind, just whittling him down. Now the fact that Extreme added things like mobs and stuff, I will say that was a step forward, just adding more, making the fight more complex. So they started going in the right direction. And I want to see more of that. I want to see more design. I want to see more depth. I want to see more abilities. Say as a healer, so we can have multiple healers on one team, but one specializes in just buffs and the other one specializes in healing, maybe some shielding or whatever. Let us swap out our abilities for other abilities that we earn from level 1 to level 50. Give us a slew of trees. Give us more gear sets that have more than just attack and defense. And oh, this armor focuses on attack, and this one focuses on defense, and this one's a balance in between. That's pretty much all we have is attack, defense, balance. Give us stuff with bonus healing stats. Give us maybe make a stat that our buff lasts longer. Maybe have a stat that affects damage over time. Add more specific gear sets that can affect the way the players plays. And sure, there's going to be metas out there, but that gives players a little bit more freedom to do what they want. And I just think overall lack of depth the game has is a problem. And people, I keep hearing this. Oh, it's a small indie team. Oh, they have a small development team. They can't create content. They don't have the revenue that games like World of Warcraft had. I don't care about those excuses. And any other gamer that comes into this game will not care about those issues. At the end of the day, this game is competing with those other MMOs. They're competing with Final Fantasy XIV. They're competing with Guild Wars 2, World of Warcraft, BDO, RuneScape. They are competing with those games. Why would someone want to play this game or something like Guild Wars 2? There has to be a reason. My biggest reason for playing this game is the fact it's on mobile. It's an easy, simple cross-play game. Play it on my phone when I'm at work or gone from the house, or I can play it on my computer at home. It's cross-play. But why would any new player jump in here, right, and stick with this game long term? The starter, it's okay, it's cool at first. But after a while, it does start to wear on you. Like, man, I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over, and over again. Which leads me to updates. They're abysmal. I've always thought they were abysmal. They have a lot of events, for sure. Most of the content is just cosmetics. The art team behind AQ3D is carrying this game. Now, you can't even argue against that. 100%. They are carrying this game. Cosmetics are carrying this game. The actual core designers, the development of the game, the actual things to do, the coders, like, people making content for the game. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they know how to make anything interesting. I don't know. I'm not trying to hate on the developers at all. I'm just saying the cosmetics in this game are fantastic. The art designers are doing great. But when they actually release content to actually do substance, that's what we want. We want substance. It's pretty shallow most of the time. Like I said, the Westmere dungeon, wow, did a great job on that. I want to see more of that. But when you release a quest line and it has me killing 6 wolves, going through Doomwood Forest, oh my god, dude. I've killed so many skeletons. You only had like 2 different types of mobs in that zone. It was skeletons and gargoyles. And the quests had you killing skeletons, killing gargoyles, killing skeletons, killing gargoyles, skeletons, killing gargoyles, skeletons, gargoyles, skeletons. It was ridiculous. And and if you defend that type of system, then I don't know what to tell you. I genuinely have no idea. I would figure that if, and people tend to defend games they really, really enjoy. But in reality, I think that people need to be more, have more of a critique attitude over the MMOs they love, because that's what makes them better. If someone played Doomwood and be like, no, this is unacceptable. They could have redone Doomwood and made it something good. People like, oh, fine, acceptable. What's not acceptable? Push the limits. Make the game good. 100%. I guarantee you, Doomwood is in, and this is why I'm bringing it up, because they're talking about redoing Doomwood. I guarantee you that's a huge cutting point for people. People get to Doomwood, and I believe that that's when people tend to quit. If they had achievements for each zone, I guarantee you the completion of Doomwood would be significantly lower than any of this. And then, of course, the other zones, like the cutoff, I guess you could say, the downward slope would be the biggest. And then, of course, like the other zone gradually. But yeah. And then that leads me into like the quests don't really transition very well. You can complete a quest and it doesn't really tell you what to do next, right? As an experienced player, yeah, I know, like, oh, check the adventure, just go to the whatever. If it says if it's like from level 1 to level 5 or 5 to 6 or 6 to 7 or whatever, follow that. As a new player, you complete a quest and then it doesn't tell you anything else. It's like, well, now what? It doesn't say, hey, go to this next zone, right? So, like, once you complete Greenguard, that quest sends you straight to Heartwood Forest, right? That was a transition. It's some of the other quests, they don't transition. They're like, oh, thanks for the help. Boom, that's it. Quest done. No arrow. No telling me to go to whatever zone. And I believe they need to do a little bit better at that. But I mean, back to the updates part. Cosmetics, they're not updates. If you release an update that's a cosmetic only, that's not an update. Especially if it's a DC update. Like when they come out with the new Dage collection, that's all Dragon Crystal stuff. If that's all that update consists of, that's not an update. That's not an update. Cosmetics itself is not an update. Cosmetics is an extra thing. It's an extra thing to reward you for completing actual content. And that doesn't mean clearing the same dungeon 200 times in a row. That's not content. And there's a lot of artificial content here, right? Like, yeah, sure. If you, like, getting a class from level 11 to 100 is artificial content. That's just, it was a quick, oh, changed max level 10 to 100. And then, of course, there are designers made a fancier-ish type of gear. It was a little bit more fancy. Maybe it was a palette color change or whatever. And that was it. For each class. That's artificial content. Creating a cosmetic set to grind for, but you have to grind the same dungeon 100 times. Oh, this will keep him busy for a few weeks. That's artificial content. That's not real content. It may look like content, but when you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, or when you're working for something for so little return, it's not really. You getting your class rank over time, that's not content. And then the next issue is I keep seeing updates that players don't want. They made a poll, right? They made a poll of what players want. So they know what players want, right? They wouldn't have made this poll with all the things that player wanted if they didn't know. There was player housing, there was classes, there was storylines, there was trading. There are things on there people have been asking for. I'm assuming years at this point, and they know about it because they made the poll with everything that everyone wanted. Why are they releasing all these updates that people don't want? Don't get it. Why are they releasing all these updates that people don't really want? And it just shows a disconnect between the community and the development team, right? Yes, the development team is making the game, but the players, the players in any MMO should be the ones in charge because they're the one supporting the game. They're the one playing the game. Yeah, the developers, I 100% believe that the developers also, they should do what they want. It's their game. But if the developers are creating content that the players don't want, then the players are just going to quit and find a game that has content that they do want. And then boom, you've got a dead MMO, you've got a dead game. Then you're not making any money. Then at that point you're not creating a game at all. So there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance. When players are begging for stuff, just make it. Just make it. Which leads me into, like, why do we have so many different games under this developer? I don't get it. It's a small team, right? People claim it's a small team, but why are they making multiple games? Focus on one game. Whether it being AQ World, AQ3D, I don't even know if they're making updates for their other games. I know they've got the Dragon Fable or Dragon Quest or something like that. And I don't know if they're updating those. I do know they're releasing content for AQ Worlds in 3D. So, these are just some basic complaints. And then the last thing on the list, I know this video is really starting to stretch, is audio. Put some audio in the game. There's combat audio. I understand that, people. Oh, there's audio when you're fighting. I understand that. It's not like the game's completely silent. I'm saying the cutscenes, most of them are dead silent, and it's really weird. It's jarring. It's awkward. At one point, I was like checking my sound settings. I'm like, why aren't they making any noise? He's getting the crap beat out of him. Why isn't I hearing any punching sound? So, but I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess this is more of a rant. I really like this game. Like I said, I have 2 accounts. I'm Dragon Guardian on both of them. I'm trying to help support the game. I want to see it succeed. But every time I come on, because I hear a new update, it's content that people never really asked for. Why are you making all this extra content for the game as far as when it comes like the Sand Sea Desert and things like that? I'm sure people appreciate, people enjoyed those areas. But at the same time, they're like, that's cool and all, but we really wanted this. Like, there's one of those instances that yeah, it's an update and I'm happy to do it. And I'm excited to do it, but I'm a little bit disappointed because we've been asking for player housing for the last 5 years. I want player housing. People begged for guilds. And there's guilds in the game, right? I'm not in one, but there's guilds in the game, which is great. But all it is another glorified friend list. Like, what are we doing with the guilds? Is there a guild hall? Is there guild wars? Fights, whatever you want to call them? Like, what is the purpose of guilds? Is there things that guilds can do together? Because right now, it's just a glorified friends list. That's it. And of course, you got a little tag next to your name. That's it. There's no content for guilds. And they just have all these systems that, they have fishing, and I think mining is in the works, or at least it was. And even then, I don't even know what to do with the fishing. It was never really clear to me. It just gives me a bunch of quests to fish for multiple things, and you just get better at fishing. They've got all these half-baked systems in the game, but none of them are truly finished, which doesn't surprise me based on their game catalog. They've made all these different games, but I don't think they've ever really finished any of them. So I mean, there's just concerns. That's it. This video's 25 minutes at this point, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it. If you got anything to say, feel free to put in the comments below. We can have a friendly discussion. I don't want anyone going in there being angry. Oh, how dare you criticize my game? It's just, these are just concerns, right? And if I truly hated the game, I wouldn't have been playing this whole time. I really like it. I'm supporting it. And I want it to do good. But the developers aren't doing a good job. So, if you like the video, give it a like. I'm getting a phone call. Have a good day.